I mentioned in one of the videos Bol as an interesting American company that has been able to use their existing assets and not only create a new core business, but also jump into new markets. Another great example is IBM. And IBM went from success to failure to success to failure. They have been able, in that time frame of around 30 to 40 years, to leverage their intellectual capital and create new businesses from that. Interesting enough is that in the 1990s, IBM's stock price has been very low, the lowest since 1983. And in 1992, more than 60,000 jobs has been lost. If you then fast forward, then in 2001, they had a services and software business, both evaluated at 35 billion and 13 billion. So something happened in the meantime. In 1993, Lou Gerstner, the CEO, took over, and the services unit was 27% of its revenues, and the software business didn't even exist. What happened in these years is they basically created all new businesses from their emerging business operating systems. Gerstner said basically what happened to this company is not an act of God, but people took our business away. I think that's a very smart and common sense observation, because in the end, it's not the system or somebody outside that destroys or takes a business away. It's your competitor, and it's people in that competitive business that are able to take your business. IBM didn't lack smart people or strategic plans. Their tough problem, and what I see with most large companies, is that they were not able to reallocate assets, resources, for new business opportunities. All resources went to the existing businesses and not to future businesses. So IBM missed the emergence of new industries. They lost the first commercial router business to Cisco. They lost speed recognition software to Nuance, and Akamai took the internet performance software and not IBM. Now, why this is happening? In the side note, you will find a very interesting video of Steve Jobs, who has his own analysis of this. But basically what you see are 6 things. One is that management system rewarded execution at short-term results. Basically, the whole sitting management team is incentivized and receiving bonuses on the performance of their existing business, which is not a bad thing, because it makes complete sense that you want to grow your core business because that's your money today. But of course, if you want to stimulate different behavior in a company, this is not helpful. 2, the company is preoccupied with current markets and existing offerings. You can say that this is also a consequence of how they organize themselves. So they only looked at what they did now in which markets and how they could improve their existing offerings. Basically, a large focus on incremental innovation. Number 3, the business model emphasized sustained profits and earnings. This makes a lot of sense, because if I would create a new business within a large corporation, and IBM has huge profits, so every time I want to create shareholder value, I need to come up with big numbers. So you will focus on your core business and existing markets first of all. But if I want to create future growth and I want to create new businesses, these are very small in the beginning. So it has a dilutive effect on your profits. The smaller the business is, the likelier that it will not survive in a company as the size of IBM. 4, they used an approach for market insights that was really tailored to existing markets and not to new markets. Because in new markets, people don't really know if they would use certain solutions. The only thing that we can uncover is what's the job that consumers having in order to hire certain products. And what we need to do is that we innovate the products by technology or different means so that the consumer moves from solution A to solution B. So asking people what they want of things that they don't know yet doesn't make sense at all. So they also need to change the way you gather insights. 5, IBM lacked discipline for selecting, experimenting, funding, and terminating new growth initiatives. What you see is that, of course, there are ideas for new businesses, but there's no governance or process that helps move the idea step by step, de-risking from small to big. And also understand when should you fund an initiative based on what type of metrics, but also when should you actually stop an initiative. Because if there's no traction or there's no big enough market and we can figure that out within the first 3 to 6 months, why would we then continue? It's also important to understand when do you need to stop. And that's a blessing sometimes to stop certain projects because we can reallocate smart people and money to better and bigger bets. The fascinating conclusion is that basically the reason why IBM was so successful and the alignment that made that happen, short-term incentivization of their management team, a business model that emphasizes existing profits and margins, a focus on existing markets, they all made sure that the current business was successful, but it actually destroyed the business in the longer term. So what a company made successful, first of all, is not a formula to make it successful in the future.